Dave Whitlock has created flies that exist in fly shop bins all around the country. With hopper season upon us, we're putting Larva Lace materials to one of his classic patterns, the Dave's Hopper. This can be a difficult tie, but it doesn't have to be perfect. Fish looking up at big terrestrials are not as finicky as most. Tie it in sizes 8 to 16, or whichever size fits your particular watershed at the time. Missouri River hoppers are massive this year, so I've secured an already barbless Daiichi 2220 in a size 8. The front part of your hook shank needs to be left without thread wraps in order for a deer hair head to be spun properly. Leave about a third of the hook for the head and thorax. Wrap back just above the old barb. Grab 4 to 6 pieces of red angel flash and tie it in, wrapping it down around the top bend of the hook to imitate the ovipositor of the grasshopper. Saddle hackle fibers or calf tail would also work for this part of the fly. The main body of this fly is going to be comprised of polypropylene synthetic. Larva Lace Poly Bear works best for this. Yellow, olive, and tan are my favorites. Secure the material at the original tie-in point and wrap it down along the top side of the hook shank. Make a small loop tail with the Poly Bear and secure it in place with a few tight wraps. This loop creates the tail end of the grasshopper body. Make it about 1/4 inch in length. Now grab a brown or grizzly hackle from a Larva Lace mini hackle pack. After stripping off the fluffy butt ends, secure the stem along the side of the hook shank and bring your thread up to the material end point. Begin wrapping your Poly Bear material around the hook, making a nice round hopper body. A more robust body will certainly not hurt its presentation. Secure the material and spiral wrap the hackle forward to the same point. The length of this hackle doesn't matter on this fly, as the trimming process will create short stubble points all around the body. Go in with your scissors and trim this hackle down on all sides. You may find it necessary to trim the top hackle fibers a bit shorter than the rest to make a little extra room for your underwing in the next step. A genuine South Dakota prairie turkey tail feather works great for the underwing. Clip a small bunch from the stem and snip the corners of the butt ends to make a blunt point. This will be the back end of the fly. Try coating your turkey tail fibers with a light coat of hard as nails if you're concerned about them coming apart during the tying process. I'm not too worried about it. Fold these feathers over the top of the hopper's back and secure it with a few tight wraps. Now we need to add a very prominent hopper feature, those big back legs. I've grown to appreciate both rubber legs on terrestrials and pheasant tail legs for different reasons. What I love about pheasant tail legs on this fly is their coloration and durability. There are many ways to knot pheasant tail fibers, but here's how I do it. Tear off a small clump of fibers from the stem and stroke them forward to pair the tips. Hold them near the butt ends of the fibers and fold the tips back over on top of themselves. Capture them with your left hand to create a small feather fiber loop. Sneak your bodkin through this loop and over the top of the tips before slowly pulling the point of your bodkin back towards the loop. Once there, pry the tips through the loop with the point of the bodkin and pull the knot tight. It takes a little bit of practice, but you'll get it after a couple of tries. You can also use plunger-style hackle pliers to grab the fibers and pull them through if you prefer. It works just as well. Once you have a few legs made up, pair them in your hand and trim the tips to be equal length. Tie them in on either side of the hook shank for a strong set of hopper legs. Notice how all of our materials are tied in at the same tie-in point. Keep the front of that hook shank open for our final steps. Add a dab of super glue on the tie-in point and to both leg knots to ensure that they do not come untied during your day of fishing. Believe it or not, it does happen. You can add a dab to the feet as well for a bit of extra security. We'll use deer hair to create the overwing and thorax of the fly. This part will look a bit messy until the final trim, but don't worry about that. Clip a small clump of deer hair from the hide before thinning out the underfur and stacking it in your favorite stacker. Take the perfectly aligned tips and secure them to the top of the hook shank. Bring your thread forward to the open hook shank. Capture the deer hair with a pinch wrap and pull straight down. Add more securing wraps through the fibers while you advance it again to the front of the materials. Add a bit of tension with each wrap around the fur, holding securely to the wing to keep it in place on top of the materials. Bring each additional wrap further forward through the splayed out butt ends before packing them back with your fingers and sneaking your thread in front. The next bunch of deer hair will only be butt ends. Trim off the tips and remove any underfur fuzz before tying it in. Unlike the overwing, we want this material to spin onto the hook and really splay out. Add 2 loose wraps to the clump of hair to capture it before releasing your grip on the materials and adding securing wraps to the bunch of hair. Watch as it spins onto the hook and splays out to form a big ball of hollow hair that will float like a cork. Pack the hair back with your fingers and add a few wraps in front to make room for the final chunk of deer hair. Now this final clump of hair is the same as the last. 2 loose wraps to capture it onto the hook, then release your grip prior to spinning it onto the shank. Again, it doesn't matter what it looks like now, we'll clean it up in the next step. Push all the hair back onto itself before sneaking the thread one final time just behind the eye. Throw a few half hitches or whip finish and cut the thread. If you have a spare razor blade laying around, that works well to trim deer hair. I utilize my scissors. Dave's hopper patterns come in all shapes and sizes. I like mine to be a rounded, blocky shape with a flat bottom to keep that fly lower in the water. Trim yours to look any way you like. Pay careful attention when you're trimming around the back collar so you don't cut the wing fibers. Also, try to keep the fly as symmetrical as possible to keep it from flopping to one side or the other while on the water. Again, the fish probably won't mind as much because a lot of hoppers do sit sideways while in the surface film. I just like mine floating high and as visible as possible. Add a final dab of head cement or super glue to the eye, and your Dave's hopper is complete. Good job. Dave's hopper is best fished in lakes, rivers, and creeks where hoppers are prevalent. As for the tip of the day, add a split shot to imitate hoppers that have drowned and sunk to the bottom. Not many people do this, but it catches a lot of fish for me. Tie up some Dave's hoppers today and give Lorie a call if you want to fill your fly shop with high-quality Larva Lace synthetic products. Or go to hagensfish.com for more information and tying videos. Leave a comment below if there's any patterns you would like to see done in a video tutorial. New videos come out every month. Until next time, tight lines and best fishes from Larva Lace.